Good evening. I think it's around August 16th or 18th, and today we're testing some early apples head to head. About, I don't know how many I have, 5 or 6 varieties. So first we're going to run around and pick a few that are still on the tree. Most of them I've had in the fridge for a while. They may have been in the fridge for a little too long, but we'll see once we get them out to test them. This one is chestnut crab. As you can see, it's rather small. It definitely has some crab apple genes in it, but it also has some, regular size apple genes. The other apple that's still hanging on the tree, at least I think so, I haven't checked today. Oh wait, here's another one we might be able to taste too. Anyway, the other one is on Frankentree here, and as you can see, Frankentree is rocking this year. There's probably close to 150 varieties on this tree now, and I've been meaning to get out here and count them, but a lot of them are fruiting right now. So this is one of them, and this is called Northfield Beauty. That one feels actually overripe, so it may be too late on these. I'll just pick a few of them. I should really check more out here because I don't know. I mean, there's just so much stuff out here, it's crazy. I can't keep track of it all. Okay, so yeah, here we go. This is Sunrise. The odd thing about this apple is it's this beautiful red color, but the birds have not touched it. I don't know what their problem is, why they don't like it. It's developed sugar early. I'm gonna pick all these because I don't think they're gonna improve any from here out. It develops sugar early. It's edible over a long season. It's bright red, but they just don't seem to be interested in it. But I guess who's to question their taste, right? Let's get down to business, shall we? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kinds of apples. Chestnut crab, Williams Pride, that's actually Williams's Pride, Kerry pippin or Kerry's Irish pippin, Sunrise, Northfield Beauty, Gravenstein, and American Summer pearmain. Okay, some of these have been in the fridge for a while. There's a total learning curve in just learning when to pick apples, how long to store them. Like, is it an apple you should let ripen on the tree and eat it right away? Should you pick it early and ripen it in cold storage? So getting this all right and getting all these at their prime at one time is nearly impossible, I think. And that needs to be borne in mind because these results aren't necessarily set in stone. The other thing to keep in mind, as always, is that these will vary by climate. I mean, some of these just may not like this climate. I can't usually grow a good Gravenstein here so far, and I've heard that from some other people too. This is from my mom's tree nearby, similar climate though. So yeah, we'll just get to tasting with that, and I'll make disclaimers along the way regarding that kind of stuff anyway. All right, let's start with this American Summer pearmain. Chances are this is not at its prime. Well, the texture's not bad. It tastes like refrigerator though. It's sweet. It has a little bit of like a pear type of flavor. Low acid. This one's mealy. Also tastes like refrigerator. I think it's really just past its prime. I haven't been impressed with this apple yet. Last year it seemed kind of promising, but this year not so much. And it's an older apple. There's a lot of enthusiastic endorsements in the old literature, but I would say, for my climate anyway, it's not looking too good. It's fruited 2 years in a row, and I don't know. Gravenstein. It's tart, juicy. Tastes like a Gravenstein. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe there's almost like a floral thing going on. It's good. Gravenstein's a great apple. Definitely not the best Gravenstein I've ever had. Just a little south of here in Sonoma County, they grow amazing Gravensteins. When you get one just right, it's really kind of a benchmark for a summer apple. This one I wouldn't say that about, but it's quite good, and it makes amazing pies and applesauce. Northfield Beauty. This is an older, early apple. The texture is interesting. It's not mealy or soft or mushy, but it's a little soft, or tender maybe. Pretty good flavor. Kind of dry flesh. Quite a bit of sugar too for an early apple. I don't know, that's interesting. I'm not sure if I'd be compelled to keep eating it, maybe. It's kind of low acid, that surprises me. I've eaten this a couple years, but I just kind of forgot what it tasted like. Nothing spectacular though. Alright, so this is Kerry's Irish pippin. Well loved by many. It comes up in the old literature quite a bit. Highly recommended in there. My friend Tim Bates at the apple farm in Philo is very fond of this apple. And these have been in the fridge for a while, so I'm not expecting a lot. I think that really this probably should have been tested a week to 2 weeks ago rather than right now. That's not bad. This is a rich apple. For an apple this early, it has a very rich flavor, meaning there's a lot going on and there's a lot of flavor. Let's try a different. This one feels a little bit harder. The flavor is more complex than any of these probably. Pretty good apple. It's tart. Doesn't seem to have a lot of sugar, but quite a bit of acid. And another thing I noticed about these, when they develop their peak flavor, they're often going a little bit soft by then. Yeah, this is the best one so far. This is a really good apple. It's really rich for this time of year. I wish it had more sugar. I'm kind of a sugar head. I like sugar. It's good though. Oops, I missed sunrise. Okay. Now, as you can see, this apple varies widely in size. Very different. Okay, after this tastes watery, and it always tastes a little bit watery, but I keep going back to it. It's almost like eating sugar cane. It's pretty sweet, it's really juicy, but like sugar cane, it doesn't have a whole lot of like overt flavor. It can tend to taste watery, but it's also very juicy and light eating. Like the pulp kind of disappears in your mouth into juice. It's really easy to eat. Well, again, after tasting some of these other apples, it seems kind of watery, but I know that I like going out to this tree and just munching a couple of these down, especially when the weather's hot, because it is kind of refreshing. It's not a challenging apple, but it could use some improvement. It could use like a little bit of an injection of flavor, and maybe even some more sugar, although it's definitely not a tart apple. Alright, William's Pride. William's Pride. This is a really promising apple. There's a little bit of red tinge to the flesh, which interests me because seeing as how I'm breeding red fleshed apples, I'm always looking for that, because that would indicate to me that this has that gene or that tendency to have red flesh. And I guess a lot of apples have that, or maybe they all have it, but it can be turned, that gene response can be turned on and off by various things, or whatever, some kind of genetics. So that interests me. You can see also just how red it is, and these were actually raised with a covering to protect them from birds. It polishes up beautifully. It's a really attractive apple, quite large. The texture's really nice. It's fairly crisp, especially again for an early apple. Look at all the red in this one. You can see that. Very promising. Well, this one's a whole lot sweeter. Yeah, I want to keep eating this one. It's got a great sugar acid balance. It's got quite a bit of flavor. Like a little bit of complexity to the flavor. You see this one's tagged. That's because I pollinated this by hand with another apple. And again, the red flesh. That one's pretty good too. Yeah, this is a good dessert apple. Well, I guess this is a good excuse to talk with your mouth full. What was I saying? What I was saying, it's all good and well to analyze these things and say, oh, this is high sugar, I like a sweet apple, I like a sour apple, I like this, I like that, I like the flavor of this, or whatever, but you can really overthink this process, and anymore I really rely on, like, which one am I going to keep eating? Am I sitting there like chewing off the last bits off the core? Am I chomping it really thoroughly and trying to like suck the juice out because it tastes so damn good? And that's the kind of thing that I pay attention to now, is the overall experience of eating the apple, and how much I'm compelled to just keep eating it. All right, so let's do chestnut crab. Chestnut crab, this is a beautiful apple. When it's really ripe like this and the sugars come up, it gets this kind of translucent look where you can see into the skin a little bit. I think it's just a really beautiful apple in kind of a classical way. It's obviously irregular, it varies in size a lot. Large ones can get larger than this, especially if you thin the apples on the tree and grow them large on purpose. But who cares? I mean, they're great small too, so. Okay, right off, by far the sweetest out of these. Probably the reason this is called chestnut is at a later stage it develops a flavor that's known as nutty, and this one has that. It's not my favorite flavor in an apple, to say the least, although it pairs well with like cheese. Like if you're eating cheese with the apple, it tastes really good. But in general, I'm not a big fan, and I like to eat these before they get to that stage. Sometimes they're not quite as sweet though. This is a tart apple. I mean, it has a high acid taste content. Yeah, well, this one's already gone nutty too. Okay, this is more how I like them. This was harvested earlier and set in the fridge. Flavor is really bright. There's quite a bit of acid, but there's a lot of sugar to balance it, although it's still a little bit on the acid side, or kind of an acid eating experience. Really good. This apple shows up on a lot of people's favorite apple list, or it's just straight up their favorite apple. I'm going to keep eating this. See, like I'm chewing it up extra thoroughly. I'm like sucking the juice out because it tastes so good. And there's a lot of sugar in it. I want that sugar. It's a good apple. Damn good. Look at all the red. Can you see that? All this pink down here? This apple's definitely going into my breeding project. I did cross it with a couple other apples this year, but I don't think either one was red. This is not a red fleshed apple. It was just kind of a random spur of the moment cross that I made. Well, I ate most of that, and I would eat this part right now, but it's got the writing on it, and I don't want to eat the writing because it's like Sharpie pen. So I ate most of that. I'm kind of hungry because I haven't had dinner yet. But out of the rest of these, all right, let's review real quick. American Summer Pearmain, texture's not that great. Low acid, kind of a sweet pear flavor if you like apples without acidity. Maybe in a different climate. I mean, it's really, really damn hot here. We just had consecutive days over 100. We've had that a couple of times, including up to like 103, 104 degrees. If this was a primo Gravenstein, I would probably eat it right now. As it is, I just don't want to eat it. It's too acidic. It may not be quite ripe all the way. I don't know. I'll use that for a pie. Maybe I'll make a pie with all these. Northfield Beauty. Low acid. Flavor's kind of interesting, actually. I don't think it's really going to... I mean, it's not going to compare to these guys over here. Sunrise. I like it. On a hot day, if I haven't been eating some other much richer, sweeter apple, it's just juicy and refreshing. But it always leaves something to be desired. It just doesn't... Yeah, it's just not rich enough. And it could even have a higher sugar. Very low acid. Kerry pippin. It's good. When I think about it while I'm eating it, it's good, but I'm usually not that compelled to keep eating these apples. And that's just the bottom line for me. Okay, Williams Pride, pretty awesome. I just ate that one, and I would keep eating it if it didn't have Sharpie writing all over it. Chestnut crab, excellent. I prefer to get them before they go nutty. The texture's better, the flavor's brighter. At this stage, they have a little more sugar when they start to go nutty. These are okay with cheese, but definitely I prefer them. That one that I ate was really about as good as they get, I think, and it was really, really good and compelled me to finish it. So there you go. The apples that came before this were July Red, not impressed. Although it was better than Early Harvest and Summer Rose, and Trailman and Centennial, which I did a review on, these two little crab apples that are really excellent and very promising. So that's it for now, and just keep in mind that your mileage may vary tremendously. I mean, there's a matter of taste, but there's also the matter of climate. And this could have a major impact. I mean, this is apples from Ireland. It's cold, it's rainy, it's green. That's not what it's like here. So this may be much better in Ireland or England or someplace like that, or on the coast here, or somewhere that's foggy, the Pacific Northwest, etc., etc., etc. And but for now, I mean, I can really solidly recommend experimenting with these two apples, Chestnut Crab and Williams Pride. They're really good. They're good at any season. You know, they don't really need any qualification like this is really good for an early apple. These are just great. Some of these other ones do need that qualification. And if you're in a cool climate, Kerry pippin's probably worth a try. So, and of course Gravenstein is just outstanding apple. It's just not that great here. I've been working my butt off on the new website. It's almost done. It'll probably go live tonight actually, although I'm not going to start like sending people there until I do a little bit more work. And yeah, check it out when it's done, skillcult.com. And I'll have lots more of this kind of like apple reviews, mostly individual apple reviews rather than these head-to-head things. But I thought this was really revealing to do a head-to-head on the early apples, since they tend to vary in quality and it's hard to find really, really good ones. Okay, thank you for watching.